In this video, we're going to talk about the idea of inheritance, which is one of the most important relationships that's part of object-oriented programming. A key concept in object-oriented design is the idea that different classes can be related to each other. And one of the relationships that can exist is the relationship of inheritance. Inheritance allows you to create what's called a superclass, which is just like a regular class that has data and methods in it. And then we can extend that superclass to create a more specialized version of it without doing a lot of extra coding. So it's a way of saving ourselves time and effort if we have related data types that we're trying to make. So for example, suppose we're thinking about our student class that stores information about a student's last name, first name, GPA, and the number of credits they have. If we were writing a project about storing data about students on campus, we might realize that, hey, some students live on campus and we might want to track where they're living. So we might want to create a specialized class on campus student that contains the student's last name, first name, GPA, credits earned, and the dorm where they live. It wouldn't make sense for us to edit our regular student class because not every student lives on campus, so they don't all have a dorm. We wouldn't want to make that a standard data field that was part of our data type. Instead, we might want some students to be the kind of general student type, and then we'd have this specialized version of it, the on-campus student. We'd be able to make that using inheritance without adding a lot of extra code. So we're going to be exploring the idea of inheritance next week, and you'll also explore it more if you continue on in the computer science major, again, because it's a key idea that's part of object-oriented design. Today we're going to be focusing on the idea of inheritance and how it relates to a special class that's part of the Java API. It's called the object class. And actually we use the object class kind of by default anytime that we make a class ourselves in Java. So when we made our student class last week, this class, although we didn't know it, was using inheritance and the object class that's part of the standard API. So absolutely every Java class, even the ones that we've been writing, like student, inherit from the object class. And that relationship helps keep things standardized across all of the object classes. It establishes some expectations about methods that would be available to all classes. So how would we find out about this magical object class? Well, it's part of the API. So just like everything that's part of the API, there's standard documentation on it. You can find it by just Googling Java API object class, and it'll be the top hit that comes up. And so you can see that it tells you some information about it. The class object is the root of class hierarchy. That means it's the superclass to end all superclasses. It's the superclass of everything. Every class has object as a superclass. All objects, including arrays, implement the methods of this class. And it's been part of Java since the very beginning. It's one of the foundational classes for the Java language. So you can see details about it. It has a constructor. Think about whether that's a default constructor or non-default constructor. It's a default constructor because it doesn't have any arguments. And then it provides this method summary, the methods that are part of the object class. We're going to look through a couple of those today and the rest of this week. So there's a lot of methods in there. You can see them all. And in the object class, they have a default implementation. We'll see that sometimes the default implementation is useful, and sometimes it doesn't really meet our purposes. But in good news, Java allows you to customize all of these methods so that they work well with the classes that you write. A lot of the methods that are in the object class are related to multi-threading, which is the idea that you can have multiple things happening in the same program simultaneously, utilizing the multi-core aspect of your laptop or your computer. You'll be thinking about that in future semesters. In 220, we're going to focus on the things that aren't multi-threaded. We're going to look at the essential methods that are part of the object class. There are three of them, the equals method, the get class method, and the toString method. We'll be looking at each of those, what it does, and how we can customize it for our classes.